Hey everyone, before we start, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Stories like this deserve to be shared. The first time I truly saw the cracks in our marriage, I didn't even recognize them. I remember laughing, a sharp, cutting laugh, while he stood there, shoulders slumped, looking smaller than the man I thought I knew. Honestly, you're pathetic sometimes. I said, the words slipping out before I could stop them. My voice had that edge I'd learned to wield, the one that got under his skin. He didn't answer. He just stared at me with that quiet weight that always made me feel guilty, even when I didn't want to. We were sitting in the living room, the glow of the kitchen light spilling over the worn carpet. His phone buzzed on the coffee table. I picked it up, scrolling through emails and notifications while pretending to care. My laughter echoed when I saw his tentative attempt to organize our finances, his spreadsheet meticulous but slow. You actually expect me to take this seriously? I teased. He tried to smile, but it faltered. I could see the tension in the way his fingers trembled slightly, in the brief pause before he replied to a text, typing something that seemed careful, almost rehearsed. I rolled my eyes, tossing the phone back onto the table, like it was nothing. Why do you even bother trying sometimes? He didn't answer again. Instead, he left the room quietly, like a shadow retreating from sunlight. I called after him, but the sound of my own voice felt hollow, bouncing off the walls of our small apartment. There was something new in the silence he left behind, a distance I hadn't noticed before. Later that night, I caught him standing by the window, phone in hand, staring at a text I couldn't see. The glow of the screen reflected in his eyes, and I could almost feel the weight of whatever he had read. He didn't speak, he didn't explain. He just seemed gone. And in that moment, I felt a prickle of unease, a whisper that maybe I had pushed too far. Maybe I had finally broken something I couldn't fix. And then, without a word, he walked out of the apartment. Not angrily, not shouting. Just out. I froze, heart pounding. I tried to follow, to call him, but he was already gone. My laughter from earlier felt like a knife twisting inside me. I had mocked him, belittled him, and now he had disappeared into the night. I didn't know if he'd come back. And for the first time, the thought of losing him completely made me feel an unfamiliar, gut-deep panic. The days after he left were suffocating. The apartment felt hollow, like a shell of our life together, with echoes of laughter and arguments bouncing off the walls. I tried to distract myself, cleaning, scrolling through social media, even binging shows, but every little sound reminded me of him. The creak of the floorboards, the faint hum of the refrigerator, even the echo of my own footsteps made me flinch. Then, late one evening, my phone buzzed. I froze, heart hammering. It wasn't his number. It was a message from someone I didn't know. Are you ready to know the truth? My stomach dropped. I stared at it, mind racing. I typed back, trembling. Who is this? The reply came almost immediately, a string of screenshots. Text between him and another woman. Not flirty, not casual, calculated, secretive. Dates, dinners, whispers I couldn't read but felt. It was all there, months of hidden messages, planning, words that weren't meant for me. I sank to the couch, phone clutched in my shaking hands. I couldn't breathe. Every memory of his quiet presence, every gentle gesture I'd mocked, suddenly twisted. The spreadsheet, the slow attempts to organize our life. It wasn't incompetence. It was him covering for me, covering for us. And I had laughed. I wanted to call him, to beg, to scream, to explain, but I couldn't. I knew him too well. He wouldn't answer. He never did when he felt betrayed or trapped. And maybe that was a real betrayal. The way he'd quietly withdrawn, leaving me in my arrogance to finally see the truth too late. I scrolled through the screenshots again, my vision blurring. There were moments that didn't make sense. Meetings he never told me about, vague references to gifts or plans he'd hidden. It wasn't cheating in the romantic sense, but it was a secret life, one that I had mocked without understanding. I realized then that the pain wasn't just his absence. It was a knowledge that I'd been cruel to the one person who had carried the weight of us, who had tried quietly, patiently, and failed only because I never let him be enough in my eyes. And just when I thought I might collapse under the weight of it all, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a short, simple text from him. I'm done. Don't try to find me. I stared at it, a cold realization settling in. He wasn't coming back. Not tonight. Not ever. Maybe. And the full scope of what I had lost, what I had pushed away, hit me like a freight train. The apartment felt impossibly empty when I realized he wasn't coming back. The silence wasn't comforting anymore. It was accusatory. Every corner seemed to whisper his absence. Every shadow a reminder of the man I belittled. I went through the motions of life mechanically, waking, eating, scrolling to my phone, but nothing could fill the void he left behind. A week later, I finally got a call, not from him, but from his sister. Her voice was calm, almost distant, but I could hear the undercurrent of something unspoken. "He's moved on," she said simply. "He's staying somewhere safe. He asked me not to tell you where, and he's not coming back to you." I felt my chest tighten, my knees weaken. I wanted to argue, to beg, to scream, but the words stuck in my throat. And in that silence, the truth was undeniable. I had driven him away, not with anger, not with fights, but with mockery, with belittlement, with my constant need to prove him weak. Memories assaulted me. The way he tried to fix the faucet I mocked, the spreadsheets I ridiculed, the small gestures of patience I never recognized. Each one was a quiet act of love, and I had crushed it beneath my sharp tongue. I had assumed strength was in dominance, in scorn, in laughter at his expense. But I was wrong. I wanted to call him one last time, but I knew it wouldn't matter. His strength wasn't in bending to me. It was in leaving, in preserving himself, in refusing to be diminished. And that, I realized, was a love I had always misunderstood. The love that doesn't need approval. The love that quietly carries more than we see, and the courage to walk away when it's no longer safe to stay. That night, I sat by the window, watching the city lights blur through my tears. I whisper apologies into the dark, not expecting answers, not expecting forgiveness. Just try and let the weight of my mistakes settle somewhere outside my chest. Some lessons are learned too late. Some people leave, not because they don't care, but because they care too much to stay in a place where they're not seen, not respected, not valued. I will never see him again, but I carry the memory of his quiet strength and the echo of my own cruelty like a scar I can't undo. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough to make me understand what it truly means to love. If this story touched you or made you think, share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. Stories like these deserve to be remembered.